There's something that's been raised quite frequently over the past couple of weeks. Not only have I found an article about it, but people have been talking about it on Twitter, on Discord, on Facebook. Why was Harry Potter more popular than Animorphs? Let's firstly read this article that I found that was posted 2 weeks ago on September the 9th by... they don't give their name, but it's on a site called News Lagoon, and the title is Animorphs should have been the big thing instead of Harry Potter. Let's see their reasoning for this. Harry Potter wasn't always a $25 billion industry with a theme park section and a line of sex toys to its name. Now, that's not something I knew existed, and that's not something I want to ever exist at all. Not for Harry Potter or Animorphs, but let's carry on. There was once a time, however brief, when Harry Potter was just a burgeoning young adult book series like any other. In fact, having been released in 1997, Harry Potter had to compete with another upstart series that launched around the same time, known as Animorphs. For those not familiar with the series, Animorphs ran from 1996 to 2001 and had over 54 books telling the story of 5 kids who were given the power to transform into animals to stop an alien invasion. It ruled, and the cover art ruled even harder. I don't remember the last time I ever saw somebody use the phrase ruled unironically, but there you go. Yes, the mid-90s were a wacky, wonderful era for fans of magic and animal shape-shifting, today known as furries. It does raise an interesting question, how many Animorphs fans turned into furries? I don't think there's ever been a poll. Maybe I should do a poll on that. Whatever. And perhaps had things gone a little differently, we might have seen Animorphs as the multi-billion-dollar franchise and Harry Potter as just really, really successful. So with that in mind, and with a potential Animorphs movie coming out, we began to wonder what the world would look like if it had been Animorphs to achieve worldwide renown and not Harry Potter. You can get some of the obvious things out of the way first. Instead of regularly being exposed to J.K. Rowling tweets about her trans-exclusionary positions, we'd have a larger spotlight on Applegate's tweets that are high grades of concentrated wholesomeness. Now, we obviously know the angle that this author is coming from. Let's not get involved with the Twitter-style bullshit and concentrate on the actual substance of what's going on here. Why was Harry Potter more popular than Animorphs? I've put a list together, and I want to go through this and just give my opinions as to why Harry Potter is the massive brand we have now and Animorphs is a nostalgic memory. Hopefully, once the movie's out and Chris Grimes released a few more volumes of the comic book, Animorphs has a resurgence and we get Animorphs being as popular as it deserves to be. But until that point, let's just speculate on why it's not. So, the first point I put was probably the obvious one. Better marketing. Sometimes it's as simple as how it's marketed, regardless of the quality of the books themselves and how many people would be inspired and influenced by these works. A lot of times it comes down to, is it sold well? Is it advertised well? And I get the feeling that Animorphs was not. And we've got some reasons to think why it wasn't. The Discord watched some more episodes of the Animorphs TV show recently. We're watching the entire series, which turned out to be 1 season and a little bit of a 2nd season. And it's awful. It is a cluster of nonsense, bad writing, bad acting, bad everything. It doesn't really stick to the books very well. Someday I'm going to go through the TV series and point out the flaws. I'm just going to watch it, pause it, and say, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. That's okay, but that's fucking awful. You know. What did Harry Potter get? Harry Potter got a movie. And not just a movie, but a huge, epic, well-received, well directed, high quality movie. Animorphs got a pile of shite. Harry Potter got a pile of gold. Is that down to manufacturing? Or is it down to different reasons? Remember, the Animorphs series didn't come out long before Harry Potter, and the difference is incredible. I'm talking TV media. So the TV show came out and it was gopping, and the Harry Potter movie it was almost like it was recorded 20 years later with 20 years advanced technology, and it was like a year, if that. So, yeah, something went wrong with the marketing there. You've got to consider the book releases as well. How much better was the release of a Harry Potter book? It became an event. I remember I was living in North Wales at the time, and one of the latter books came out, and there were lines of people. Bangor's a small city, but it's barely a city. It's only considered a city because it's got a cathedral, because that's how it works over here. Bangor's a small place of several thousand people, but the queues for getting this Harry Potter book from the bookstore were incredible. You never saw that with Animorphs. Why? Why was there not this need for Harry Potter? Why was there not this cult-like reaction to the release of an Animorphs book? There are reasons, potential reasons, and we'll go into those in a bit, but just as a final part on the marketing thing, let's talk about merchandise. What is merchandise? Well, it's stuff to coincide with a book or a film, stuff like this. Merchandise of toys, posters, fast food things. Star Wars was a prime example of merchandise done right, and how merchandise helps propel a movie from just a hit to a global phenomenon. Everybody bought Star Wars toys. I remember that I was briefly into Harry Potter, like when the first movie came out, the first two movies, and I bought merchandise. I had merchandise, and it was great. You know, it was good quality merchandise. I had like a wand and Potter glasses and a robe. I remember I got it for Christmas, and I was walking around Blackburn, up in Lancashire, with my wand. What did we get for Animorphs? We got this shite. The best stuff we got came in a fast food box. It was awful. Why do you think Animorphs didn't take off? Bad show. Bad merchandise, low grade book releases. But that last part, let's talk about that. What was it about the books that were different to the Harry Potter books? For one thing, there were 62 or 64 if you count Animorphs books. That's a lot of books. How many Harry Potter books were there? I think it was 7. Don't quote me on that. I think it was 7. And they came out quite long apart from each other. The Harry Potter books had memorable titles: The Philosopher's Stone, The Half-Blood Prince, The Goblet of Fire. And they were large, voluminous, a lot of stuff happened. And each book had its big moments and character development and character introductions. What did we get with Animorphs? Yeah, I get the whole, the unexpected, the mutation, the prophecy, the ultimate. I get the theme, but is that inspiring? Is that the Deathly Hallows? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows? Or Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? No, not quite. It's not as... I mean, a lot of the times, the names of the books weren't even really relevant. For example, I went on Sporkle, which is a quiz website, and I took quizzes on what the names of the books were. And I didn't get them all. I couldn't remember them. Why? Because they're not really memorable titles. The Harry Potter books stood individually. They were well known, all of them. Every single one of them. They were larger, more memorable volumes. Imagine what Animorphs would have been like if the entire series was put into 10 books. All of it. Into 10 books. You'd be able to cram so much into each book. Of course, the books would be larger. You're probably looking at between 70,000 and 150,000 words per book. But not only does that make each book more impactful and less repetitive, less episodic, but it also means your book releases are going to be bigger events. like Harry Potter's was. So it's going to take longer for them to come out, but people are going to have more anticipation for what's going to come. One of the big problems with Animorphs is that it is very episodic. Not epic, essentially. Every book starts with the same recap of everything that's gone on. And each one goes through narrator in a row. So you always know, oh, it's going to be Jake narrating next, or it's going to be Rachel narrating next. It feels more formulaic than natural. And I think that's also a big part of why Animorphs wasn't as popular, because you got to a certain point where you knew what was happening. Granted, there was a lot of stuff in there that made it exciting and really worth reading, but at the same time, everybody just skips the first 20 pages, essentially, because you know what's coming. Harry Potter, it was free-flowing. You had the introduction to the book, and it just went. You knew where you were, and you went on a brand new epic adventure. Animorphs wasn't quite like that. That's why it became a TV show and not a movie. And that was why Animorphs wasn't as successful. But sometimes you've got to apply Occam's razor. My last reason is a pretty obvious one. And this is not to denigrate Michael and Catherine in any way, because they have brought to me something that has inspired me, influenced me, and made me the person I am today. I've said this before, and I think it's a brilliant book series. But sometimes you get authors that come along that are just out of this world. And for whatever you want to say about J.K. Rowling, she's clearly one of those people. Writing quality is a huge part of what makes a book stand out. It makes sense, doesn't it? If there's better writing, there's going to be a better book. Not to denigrate Michael or Catherine in any way, but the writing in Harry Potter is better. Just objectively better writing. J.K. Rowling is a phenomenal writer, and that's why she's so successful. That's probably why Harry Potter took off as it did. Michael and Catherine are good writers, hence why their books were successful. But it's a spectrum of success, isn't it? It's a spectrum of writer quality. And J.K. Rowling is one of those people that is just naturally gifted at this sort of thing. So there are numerous reasons why Harry Potter could be more successful than Animorphs. Marketing, format, and writing quality. The combination of the three could be why Harry Potter is more successful than Animorphs. But don't lose hope, Animorphs fans. We love this series, and we're going to spread it. And we're going to make sure that it is just as successful we are going to make sure it's just as successful as Harry Potter. Because we're persistent buggers. And we're going to shove it in people's faces whether they like it or not. Good stuff. Let's get out of there. Let's get a movie. Let's get Chris Grind's books advertised, read. Go buy it. Give it to people for Christmas. Let's spread the Animorphs fun and get this series where it needs to be. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you all again soon. Goodbye.